Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make another YouTuber skin statue. This time, I'm going to be showing you how to make Jahova. If you want to make him, here's what you're going to need. You're going to need sandstone, black wool, brown wool. You'll also need light grey, white, cyan wool, light blue, yellow, and finally, orange wool. We're going to need a fair few more colours later on when we get up to the head, but we'll just have to grab those as we need them. So for now, once you've got those, and once you've figured out where you want to make him, I'm going to be making him right here. You're going to want to start this all off with a row of 8 black wool in a row on the floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like so, with your black. And that is going to be the base of our statue, so once you've done that, here's what we're going to do. Throw another row of black wool on top of your base layer to give you 2 rows of black wool. Then do an entire row of cyan on top of that. Then the next row is slightly trickier, so place 2 cyan wool in the 2 center spots of the row. Place a single light blue either side of the cyan, and then fill the rest of the row in with cyan wool to give you something which should look like that. 2 little eyes. For the next row, you want to place a single cyan wool on the ends of the row and then fill everything else in with light blue to give you a table sort of shape. Then, the next 2 rows want to be cyan wool, so 1, 2, and just fill them in. Oops, come on, get it together. There we go, and I think that once you've done that, we are a little more than halfway up the legs, so I just want to show you what we have so far. We're about 7 blocks into the legs, so only ever so slightly halfway over. That's what you want so far. Pause that if necessary. Once you're sure that you've done that, it's time for us to finish this little leg section off. So, for the next row, after your 2 rows of cyan wool, you want to place 2 cyan wool in the center of the next row, and then you just want to place light blue everywhere else. Then, the next 2 rows just want to be entirely cyan, so as we did before, just throw 2 solid rows of cyan wool on there. Then, the next row, you want to do a single cyan on the ends of the row, then a single light blue coming in towards the center next to the cyan, and then cyan everywhere else. And now, to finish off the legs, all you want to do is an entire row of cyan wool to give you something which should look a little bit like that. That wasn't too difficult, was it? It's a pretty easy statue this, but it's nice and colourful, so I quite like it. So that is what you want for the entire leg section. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's time for us to move up to the torso. So the torso starts off quite simple as well. Come up to the top of your legs and do 3 solid rows of yellow wool. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Then, for the next 3 rows as well, you want to do this. Place 2 brown wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then yellow everywhere else. And you want to do that for the next 2 rows. You want, in total, 3 rows of exactly this. So, you may want to just place the brown first and then build up the yellow around it, or you may not. Whatever you want to do, that is what you want to end up with. And that will take us halfway up the torso. Very easy so far. I'm liking this statue more and more. So that is what you want for half of the torso. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, let's do the other half. So, for the next row, slightly trickier, we use more colours. Ooh. You want to place a single light grey on the right centre spot of the row, so on top of that right brown there, and a white to the left of it, so you have that, and this is going to be the start of the ice cream. That's the little cone, or at least I think it's an ice cream, I don't know what it is otherwise. And then you just want to place yellow everywhere else. It's got to be ice cream. I don't see what else it could be. I don't know. For the next row, we will do this left to right, just for easiness sake. So going from left to right, you want to do 2 yellow wool, 1 white, 1 light grey, 2 white, and then 2 yellow. Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, I refuse to accept that that is anything other than ice cream. Watch me get proved wrong in the comments. For the next row, you want to place 4 white wool in the 4 center spots, so directly on top of the white and the light grey of the previous row, and then yellow everywhere else. Then, for the next row, this may seem a little familiar, place a single light grey on the right centre spot of the row, a white to the left of it, and then yellow elsewhere. I almost said everywhere else, but a few of you guys have pointed out that I have some commonly used phrases, so I'm trying to actively say different things. That one probably didn't make too much sense. But once you've done that, you just want to finish off the torso with 2 more rows of yellow wool. Just entire rows of yellow wool. And that will finish off this little torso section to give you something which should look a little bit like that. Alright, so once you've done that, it's time for us to move on to the arms. So take out your sandstone and go down to the first row of the torso, which is this first row of yellow wool that we have here. What you want to do, either side of the statue, is extend out this row of yellow by 4 with your sandstone. So this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the other side as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, to give you the first row of both of the arms. Once you've done that, we're going to be working on this arm first. So what you want to do, once you have got your row of sandstone here, is you want to pile 5 more rows of sandstone directly on top of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So in total, you want 6 rows of sandstone. What you then want to do, on top of your 6th row of sandstone, is just do an entire row of orange wool. Then you want to fill in the rest of the arm just entirely with yellow. I was just going to try and work out how many rows of it you had to do, but it's just easier to say that after you've done your rows of sandstone and orange, the rest of the arm just wants to be entirely yellow wool, as you can see. Nothing much to it whatsoever. So that is what you want for the arm. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, you're going to want to go and do the exact same thing on the other side here. It is just a mirror image of what we have over there. So on top of our row of 4 sandstone, you want to stack 5 more rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then fill them in, or whatever you want to do. All that matters is that you end up with, in total, 6 rows of sandstone. Then you want to do an entire row of orange wool on top of your sandstone, and then you just want to proceed to fill the rest of the arm in with yellow wool. So you're just going to want to end up with something that should look a little bit like that. Not too difficult whatsoever, I feel. So there you have it. That is what you want for both of the arms. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let me show you what you want for the entire front of the statue. So this is what you want for the entire front of your statue. Pause this if necessary, of course. Make sure that yours looks exactly like this. Once you have reached this point, however, it's time for us to move around back. So do exactly that. Come round to the back of your statue. Come down to the bottom of the feet. And what you want to do, I always find this terribly difficult to explain, is you want to do 2 rows of free black wool coming out of the back edges of the feet. So like what I've just done there. What you then want to do once you've done your 2 rows of free black is you want to connect them together, back block to back block, like so, to give you a U shape. What you've just done there is you've just built the base of the back and sides of the statue, because what we're going to do now is we're going to build up the entire back of the statue, just as we did the front of the statue. So you just want to focus on these back 8 blocks that we have here, and for now just ignore these 2 side blocks that we have. So for the second row of the back of the statue, and as a matter of fact for the third row as well, what you want to do on top of these back 8 black blocks, that's a tongue twister, try saying that 5 times fast, back 8 black blocks. What you want to do on top of these is 2 solid rows of black wool, so you want in total 3 solid rows of 8 black wool, so you want to have that. Then, once you've done that, stack 2 rows of cyan wool on top of that. So you want to have something which should look like that. Then the next row, here's where the pattern comes in. You want to do 2 cyan wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then light blue everywhere else. Then for the next row, and I realise we're halfway up the back of the legs, but I don't feel as though you guys need to take a look at that. I mean, look how simple that is. For the next row, you want to do 4 light blue in the 4 center spots of the row, and then cyan everywhere else. Then, for the next row, slightly trickier, place 2 light wool in the 2 center spots of the row, a single light blue wool on the ends, and then cyan everywhere else. Then, for the next 2 rows, you just want to place a single light blue on the ends of the row, and then cyan everywhere else. And I did say for the next 2 rows, so that's why I've just thrown 2 light blue on each end, like so. Then, to finish off the back of the legs, you just want to do 2 solid rows of cyan wool. So you want to have something which should look a little bit like this once it's finished. Nothing too difficult about that whatsoever, I feel. So once you've done the back of the legs, it is time for us to move up to the back, and I've got some really good news for this. The entire back of the statue is just entirely yellow wool, so you just want to do 12 solid rows of yellow, and you guys can do that how you wish. I'm just going to be using the column method. If you guys want to do it row by row, that's up to you, but all that matters in the end is that you end up with 12 rows of yellow wool. You don't even really have to count them out, you just have to measure it to the top of the torso, but all that really matters, as I've said, is that you end up with a giant yellow rectangle that looks exactly like this. So pause that if necessary. I imagine that you guys might be doing this right now. Once you've done that, it's time for us to do the back of the arms, and the back of the arms are really easy as well because the back of the arms look the exact same as the front of the arms. So all you have to do for this is quite literally look forward to the front of your arms and just copy what you did. So there requires no explanation for this. You just want to do your 6 rows of sandstone followed by your 1 row of orange, and then the rest of the rows, if my math is correct, 5 rows of yellow, and there you have the back of the arm. So it should end up looking a little something like that. As you can see, the exact same as the front of the arm. So pause that if necessary. I'm going to go and quickly knock out the other arm as well. So just doing the sandstone. And I'm not even counting this out, I'm just eyeballing it with the front of the statue. So just... that's how I'm doing this, no counting required, my favourite part of these statues. And once you've done the back and both of the back of the arms, it should end up looking a little something like that. A little plain for my tastes, but there you have it. I'm not gonna add anything that isn't on the original skin. So that is what you want for the back and the back of the arms. It isn't difficult to do, but you guys might still be working on them, so pause this if necessary. Let me show you what you want for the entire back side of the statue. So this is what you want for the entire back of your statue. As always, pause this if necessary. Once you've reached this point right here, it is time for us to move on to the side. So pick a side, any side, it really doesn't matter which one. They're both mirror images of each other. I'm going to be starting on this side, as always. Come down to the bottom of the feet. And I just want to explain how I like to fill in these sides of the statue. I first like to work in this left column, the one closest to the back, and I like to just build straight up. And then I like to do the exact same thing with the right column. So, starting with this left column, the one closest to the back of the statue, you want to do this. You want to do 2 black wool going directly up, followed by cyan wool for the entire rest of the leg. And that should just come up to the bottom of the hand like that. Not too difficult whatsoever. For the right column, a little trickier. You want to do 1 black wool, and then you want to do, I don't know how many cyan it is, but you want to do this. You want to do cyan until it comes just below this light blue block that we have on the right hand side here. You then want to place a light blue so it is in line with that light blue block, and then you just want to fill the rest of the legs in with cyan to give you something which should look a little bit like that. So that is what you want for the side of the legs. Pause that if necessary, of course. Once you've done that, it's time to move up to the side of the arm. So first things first, we have to fill in the bottom of the hand in with sandstone like I'm doing now. You don't want any holes in your statue, do you? So you're going to want to have something which should look like that. And in filling in the bottom of the hands, you will notice that we now have the first row of the side of the arm. And the arms are really easy to fill in as well, so much so that we don't have to use a column system. All you need to do to fill in the side of the arms is just use the material that you have on the left and right hand side of the statue. For instance, you'll notice that I've just matched up sandstone with sandstone. You guys want to do the exact same thing, and it follows that rule all the way up. So where we have orange here, just place orange, and then where we have yellow, just place yellow. Not too hard whatsoever. So that is what you want for the entire side of the arm. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let's just fill in the top of the shoulder as well, before I forget. So, for the top of the shoulder, it just wants to be yellow wool, and it only has to come in by 3 blocks like this. So you just have to do 3 yellow coming towards the center of the statue in both rows. So you just want to have something which should look like that. Let me show you what the entire side of the statue wants to look like once it's all together. So you're just going to want to have something which should end up looking a little bit like that. Not too difficult whatsoever, so pause that if necessary. Once you have done the entire side of the statue, we're going to go and quickly whip around and do the other side as well. So this other side has now been made easier by the fact that you have done that side. As I mentioned, they are mirror images of each other. So just like with the arms, all you have to do is look directly forward and copy what you have onto this side. There is nothing more to it whatsoever. No instructions required, my favorite kind. So I've just quickly done the legs there, and I'm already moving on to the arms. I don't think that you guys will have too much trouble copying what you have on the other side of the statue, assuming that you guys did it right the first time. So you just want to do exactly what you did on that side, including filling in the top of the shoulder, and I will remind you that you only have to come in by 3. You can come in by more, but no less. At least 3. So let me just show you what this side of the statue wants to look like. I did go through that fairly quickly, but honestly, you know what explanation is required. It's really easy. So that is what you want for the other side of the statue. Pause this if you're still working on that, of course. However, once you have reached this point right here, which you've done the entire front, the entire back, and both sides of the statue, it's time for us to do the head. So come round to the front of your statue, come up to the tippy top of the torso, right here. And what you want to do on top of the 8 blocks of the torso is you want to stack a row of 8 sandstone directly on top of them. So you want to have something which should look like that. What you then want to do is do a row of sandstone directly in front of that row, so coming towards you, like this. You then want to do another row, but it's not just entirely sandstone. This next row is going to be the first row of the face, so you just want to do this. For the 2 center blocks of the row right here, you want to do 2 light grey, then you want to do a single white either side of the light grey, and then you just want to fill the rest of the row in with sandstone. So you want to have something which should look like that, and that is just Jehovah's mouth right there. And that should just be overhanging the front of the statue by 2, like this. So once you've done that, we're going to be building up the rest of the face. So we're just going to be building directly on top of here. So for the next row, you just want to do an entire row of sandstone. So just throw that on top like that. For the next row, you want to do this. You want to do a single sandstone on the ends of the row. You then want to do a single white coming towards the center. You then want to do a black next to the white, and then you want to fill the rest of the row in with sandstone. Then, for the next row, you want to, where you have a black and white on the previous row, you just want to place white on the next row, and then you just want to fill the rest of the row in with sandstone. Then, for the next row, it's probably going to be easiest if we do this. So, for the next row, on top of the eyes, going from left to right, you just want to do this pattern essentially. You want to do 1 sandstone, 1 brown. 1 sandstone, 1 brown, 1 sandstone, 1 brown, so on and so forth until you reach the other side of the row. So you want to have that. Then, for the next 3 rows, you just want 3 solid rows of brown wool. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. And once you've done that, you should end up with something which should look a little bit like that. So that is Jehovah's entire face. Don't worry, that's going to look a lot better later. We've got a few more details to add in. We've got a headset. We've got to make his hair look a little bit messier, but we're going to be saving that until later. So that is what you want for the face so far. Pause that if necessary. Once you have done that, it's time for us to move on to the rest of the head. So come round to the back of the head. And what you want to do from this original row of sandstone that started off the head, you're going to want to drag this row back across the back of the statue until it overhangs the back of the statue by 2 rows, just as the front of the head overhangs the statue by 2 rows. So you're going to want to end up with something that should look like that, just to give you a side view. Once you've done that, pause this if necessary of course, it's time for us to work up the back of the head. So for the first row of the back of the head, all you have to do is just amend this a little bit. It's not an entire row of sandstone. You want to knock out the 2 middle blocks. You just want to replace them with brown wool. What you then want to do is you want the second row of the back of the head to match the first row. So just copy what you have for the first row. So you just want to have something which should look like that. What you then want to do is just fill the rest of the back of the head in entirely with brown wool. So that should just be 6 solid rows of brown wool. However, I'm not going to count them out, I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm just going to line it up with the front of the head, and that would seem to be right. So once you have done those 2 rows where you just have those 2 brown in the middle and sandstone everywhere else on the back of the head just wants to be entirely brown wool. So you're going to want to end up with something that should look a little bit like that. Not too difficult whatsoever if you ask me. So that is what you want for the back of the head. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, it's time for us to move on to the side of the head, and the side of the head is really simple as well. So starting on this side of the head, as I always do, what you want to do, going from left to right, so from like the back of the head to the right of the head, just focusing on these 6 middle blocks, you just want to do first an entire row of sandstone, so like this. Just do yourself an entire row of sandstone. Then, for the next row, you just want to, going from left to right, you want to do 1 brown, 1 sandstone, and then the rest just wants to be brown. So you just want to have something which should look a little bit like that. And luckily for us, that is all we need for the side of the head, because Jahova's headset is going to cover up the rest. So once you've done that, all you have to do is fill the rest of the side of the head in entirely with brown wool. So just make sure that you have what we have there. I know it looks a little weird, but as I said, the headset's just going to cover everything else, so what's the point in going into detail? So that is what you want for the side of the head. Once you've done that, you're going to want to go and do the exact same thing on the other side. So on the other side here, I'm not going to try and explain this whatsoever, as luckily for us, all you have to do is just look straight forward and copy what you have. It's one of those situations again. I kind of like what we have here now. It looks like he's got tiny little ears, but as I said, that'll be covered up by the headset anyway. So just copy what you have on the other side, and you'll notice it should look exactly the same. So pause that if necessary. Once you've done the other side of the head, all we have to do is fill in the top of the head, and you just have to fill it in entirely with brown wool. So you just want to do this. So once you've done that, you should have So once you've done that, you should end up with something that should look a little bit like this, a little bit plain, looking a little weird honestly. It needs some detail. So once you have reached this point right here, it's time for us to do the headset. So we're going to need 2 colours to finish this all off. So you're going to want to get rid of, I don't know, light grey and white. We don't need those anymore. And what you'll need is dark grey and dark green. So I'm going to be starting on this side of the head for the headset first of all. So it's kind of difficult for me to explain positioning and stuff, so I'm just going to do this. Directly to the right of where we have this little sticky out sandstone, you just want to do 2 dark grey, like coming out the side of the head like that. What you then want to do is this. I'm not going to explain this. It's going to be fairly simple once you guys see it. I don't see any point. So you're just going to want to do that, and that is like the cup of the headphones. So you're just going to want to do a shape which should look like that. You guys can see where that is easy enough, I hope. Once you've done that, you then want to extend up these 2 dark grey that we have on top of the black up here, up to the top of the side of the head. You then want to extend them over the head, so like this, and it's up to you whether you want to cut the corner off here or if you want to leave it on. I mean, it's really your choice. I like to cut the corners off whenever I throw headsets on stuff, but that is just me. So bring it over to the top of the head, and you're going to want to do essentially the exact same thing that you have on the other side. So once you reach here, you just want to do 1, 2, 3, 3 dark grey coming down, or inversely, you could just work it from the other ear. So starting from here, do that, and then that. No! What am I doing? There we go. And that is what the headset should look like on the other side of his head. Not too difficult whatsoever. All you have to do is you can just continue it the way around, or just do what I did and just work it around from the other ear. So that is what you want to have for that. Let's move over back to the original side, and I'm not sure if I said pause if necessary, but you should have if you needed to. Come over to the original side. We've just got to do the little microphone that's attached, and again, I don't feel as though I need to explain this, I'm just going to do it. So from the bottom right hand corner here, you just want to do 3 dark grey coming this way. I'll give you a moment to do that. What you then want to do is come around to the front of the head, and you just want to kind of extend around the microphone. Again, it's your choice whether you want to do the corner or not. I'm doing the corner in this instance. You want to do 2 dark grey and then 1 dark green. So that is what it wants to look like on the front, but of course you can knock that corner off if you want. It's up to you. I'm going to keep it on there. So that's what the little microphone wants to look like from the front. Let me show you again from the side, just so that you guys can see how that looks. So that is what you want for that. Pause that if necessary, of course. Let's just add the final touch onto Jahova. So again, this isn't something that really needs explaining, but I'm just going to do it and then you guys can copy it as you will. So you just want to make his hair ever so slightly messier with your brown. So you just want to have something which should look like that, exactly positioned that way. Hopefully it won't be hard for you guys to just look where that is and just copy it, no problem. So that is what you want for that. Once you've reached this point right here, ladies and gentlemen, you should end up with an entirely finished Jahova statue. Look at him. Look at him in his brilliance. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut to daytime so we can admire a little more. Ah, that's much better. We can actually see the statue now. So this is what you want for the 100% complete finished statue. There is nothing more to add to it at this point. I just wanted to give you guys a nice 360-degree view of it, just so that we could take a proper look. And I really like this statue. I think it might be the bright colours. Whenever a statue's got some nice bright colours added to it, I instantly like it a lot more. I don't know why it is. I mean, there's not that much detail in the statue, but when it's nice and bright, I suppose it doesn't have to be. It's when it's like all black and dark grey and stuff, when there's no detail, it just looks a little bland. But no, I really like this. I especially like the little details added to the head as well. You've just got the hair and the headset there, but there you have it. That is the statue 100% complete. I hope that you guys had an easy enough time following this. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe you should think about subscribing. I have plenty more stuff like this on my channel. I have tutorials ranging from YouTube statues, skin statues, houses, pixel art, the list goes on. Thanks for watching.